Relations to other United States of America. And to what the fairness, my nation. Welcome to the April 20th Select Board meeting. Yes.
Thank you very much. First up this evening, department head updates. Chief Lynn.
The month of March, we did 44 911 calls, 90 transfers, the total 142. Last year, for the month of March, it was 168 911 calls. I'm sorry, 63 911 calls last year, 106 transfers, for a total of 169. Year to date, for this year is 168 911 calls, 275 transfers, and 443 total. The last month or two, I'm sure that we've taken on, we're trying to help out maybe each a little bit now, the friendly. So hopefully those numbers will flip around. We had 113 requests for transfers for the month of March, turned down 15 due to staffing. On the truck had its annual testing and ground ladder testing. This year was, there's a 5-year test that has to be done on it, other than an annual test. Everything passed with no issues. I'm very, very happy about that, with all the issues that we had in the past. The ambulances were in good shape, and when I wrote this, they were. They hit on the interstate, they hit a turkey this weekend. Which there wasn't, we're figuring about $500 damage on the truck, which Tom will, the mechanic will take care of himself. So I wanted to be honest about that. Section of the fire station roof has been replaced with steel. It was a rubber roof. It leaked over the winter, so we just went over that with steel. I think the total cost on that is about $2,100. You have to do the lower section. Hoping to get that done this year. If not, we'll tackle next year. We've got it patched for now. Where we broke the ice off. 2 ambulance cots and CPR machines came in and are in service. Also, we got new computers. The field work, those are in service now. We did that without using computer people, so that saved us a lot of money. We have had 68 fire calls to date. 69 counting progress today. So, which is not on the list. We're continuing to travel process work for the next audit that we get. I feel pretty confident, and apparently our rents did not change, which was a good thing. And we thought they went down from the very was consistent, pretty much consistent in the last. We do have some things to work on that Jessica and I will be overseeing. But other than exceptionally fortunate. But on the dock and the ambulance finally.
Do you have any questions?
Randy, I'm glad you're here tonight. I do want to bring up something that came up at the last meeting, which was the naming of the street. Let's say behind PJ Noyce, the new 79 Main Street, that kind of loop we named, I think Smith Street, I think Perry.
Well, Curious Smith, please, I think it was our.
Drive. Right, okay, and we learned after we voted that there's a Smith Place across the street, but it doesn't quite line up. It's like, I call it candy cane, doesn't quite line up that way. We're doing this for emergency services, so I'm interested in your opinion.
Well, at first I was okay with it. And then I talked to a couple of the older guys at the fire station. And we know where Smith Place is. But in the future, splitting those two, calling them both Smith something, unless there's smoke showing, it might be a little confusing. I guess I didn't know if there was another name we could come up with.
And possibility of, and again, on your opinion, what would you feel about the naming the whole indicating
I'll call it candy
and
Yeah.
in the loop, which is basically in the parking lot area, Smith.
If we had just one name for both places.
Streets cross other streets. It's just, they don't line up though.
Right.
You actually have three entrances as opposed to a nice shaped candy cane. You have like a hook and a two house place.
And because I know where it is, Mike Kopp knows where it is. But the people down the road, being the future, that might be a little confusing for them.
Well, it reminds me of the conversation we had about Stebbins Hill.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, thinking ahead
Right.
today is smarter than the challenge we get into when dispatch is sending somebody out and we don't have it quite right. What can we do?
As far as the name, I think it will be a little confusing down the road. Right now, the old timers are there, we know the difference. Future generations won't.
They're not recommending hooking it all into one name. Separate names, not the new name not being Smith and maybe saving Smith for the next time we name a street.
It was not the location, I'm not fine.
No, and it's not. The whole purpose behind naming the name is Harry Smith is Lancaster's only MIA from the Korean War. We have plenty of other military members that were KIA and stuff. So it's definitely something that we can reconsider and still honor one of our phones with that.
You could come up with a name for that area.
That's great.
But main picture stuff in behind.
There's also two other buildings.
Right.
This is.
No,
it's not-
I think as far as naming it all one, I think that would be,
Now it's a horseshoe,
yeah.
one-way horseshoe. Robin, I see you.
Yep.
One-way horseshoe, it impacts three buildings.
Yep.
We will rename it at the next meeting. Smith Place will remain as is with the two houses that are on it. Robin, I think it has to.
There's three total.
Oh, great, okay. And maybe the parsonage.
They've been hanging out there, so if preferences, if you would have something particular to motion this evening.
Oh, but we don't have name. Oh, well, we could just agree to go name. Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
So, like I said, we have not a shortage of people that has, the one name that comes up and was older, also passed away during Vietnam with the Cecil Broom.
Hmm.
Was killed in Vietnam.
You want to spell all that from? Spell the name.
Cecil, I believe, Broome.
Thank you.
And we want that to be a way, Cecil Broom Way,
I think that's the way that we were looking at it, yes.
way we want to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. So. In the same vein, we probably should speak to the people that are on Smith Place. I don't know what Smith Place was named after. But if they would agree to the name change of Harry S. Smith for that particular thing, I think that would be nice.
There was a Smith house on there, because I own it. The one on the corner right across from the dentist.
Yeah, and Babe Smith on them. But if the residents of the street are agreeable to rename it Harry S. Smith, maybe that's a route that we can take, but I would want to talk to the residents first.
You want to make a motion on Cecil Broom?
Make a motion to rename, recently named to Cecil Broome Way.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for getting that solved.
I saw it.
You were gonna give you all the.
Feel like Kirk Daddy.
I don't take credit why someone's giving it to us.
Yeah.
you solved it because urgency was that, 79 Main was already getting tenants and they needed an address.
Thank you. And then as far as reaching out to the people on Smith.
Oh, no,
Thank you.
wasn't one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Eli,
These were a success, didn't get a full count of all the ages and everything, but set it up to 150 to 200 possibly, for the icons. The golden icon started, after the little kids month, and within 45 minutes, all 10 eggs were found. People seem to enjoy it. We got over 200 signed up in baseball, softball this year. A running program called Soul Sisters, which is the young girls up to 5th and 6th grade. Running program, I had the most ever, it's 24 girls starting up now. We got candy bar bingo that we already talking about on the 28th, and there's 7. We have some asbestos removal, 29th, and then we had a basketball camp for 30th. Going into summer, we're worried about lifeguards, because we only have one return. It looks like as long as we pass tests, we should be good. No. Swim lessons, not 100%, only one person is interested in that. So we're still working on that piece of things. We're all we're we're working on dates to get people involved. Looking to get that done. Hopefully before July. Just summer from the popular store. Surprising. So that's good. teams are now signing deals, Common Wave and the consultant and brand. So they can actually do it.
Okay, thank you, Robin.
Actually, what time is the opening day parade?
10:30.
10:30.
That's fine, other than processing, I've got 3 zoning cases next week.
Thank you. Olivia?
Yeah, I think I really have 2 things. One is getting ready for audit in the May. So I'm trying to get that correct as much as possible. And we theme, the admin theme, to review the financial software packages after having the demo. Reminder of the history of that, our current software reviews for the past few decades. It's been purchased by a national company. So we don't know exactly when the sunset, this is gonna be, what operation impact. He's gonna be our pinfall, and we're trying to be profitable. Yeah, should we have some time? To continue next.
Oh, great. When do you expect field work by the auditors?
May 18th.
Oh, it's nice, thank you.
Barbara sends her regards. They had a fire alarm go off, so she's unable to make it, and Chief Woodworth submitted his report to you as well. So that is it from the department heads. Feel free to take off if you would like to. Next up is an appointment with Rob Christie.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Christie at 155 Alphabet Road in Lancaster. As a voter and a taxpayer, the elected secretary of the Emmett Smith Memorial Fund, and the elected member of the Colonel Town Spending Committee. I have he's back.
Which hat are you wearing today?
I will be wearing that hat for this discussion, but before that, my term as airport commissioner for town of Lancaster expired on the 31st of March. And will you consider reappointing me? Can we get that out of the way?
Do they bring something like how other committees do, or do we need something in writing or anything? We just.
Well,
I think he's here saying he's willing to continue as commissioner, so I'll make a motion to reappoint Rob Christie as the representative to the airport commission in Whitefield.
I'll second it. Thank you.
Discussion, how long is the term?
That's a 3-year term.
Thank you.
That's my knowledge.
Is it 3 years already?
Huh?
It's been 3 years already?
Time flies when we're having a good time, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much. Now, one. And so, the other thing on my mind is talking about Dow and Colonel Town monies to increase the revenues for the town. 2025, by mistake, I identified 2 sources of taxpayer relief totaling about $75,000 to $80,000 each. I took them to the relevant committees and we talked about them, and both committees acted with the goal to accomplish this we wanted to get it done in time for the 2026 budget, so that money could be included in the planning. Our motions were passed. We contacted our sources and we spoke to, I think you've heard me speak informally about it several times at the select board meeting. And we did inform our budget representatives. Progress was being made, but then progress stopped. Town manager told us there was no room in the legal budget last year to address any of these issues. And I think you guys heard some of my reports, but didn't have any actions. And Colonel Town Investor, honored request. And I also spent it with that. We voted a subcommittee to address the issue and see if we can get more money and payout from the Colonel Town Trust. So
it's a new year. And we would like to, what would you like to know? So that we can inform what we do from here on out. I mentioned that we got the Emmett Smith Fund, which is appointed by the will to manage Dow monies if they come. Our charter is to benefit the more in need town of Lancaster. In the past, we have done more than hand out money. We've actually bought equipment for the hospital, stuff like that. So we took a vote and decided that it was appropriate for us to advance a little bit of money, $5,000, to get an attorney to look at the deal. New Hampshire attorney said, well, that's fine. This, and this, but we need an attorney for Maine because there's something going on in Maine. So we did another 2,000 or 3,000 to hire. The first attorney we talked to was the town attorney, who said that wasn't comfortable with doing it because it hadn't been authorized by the town. So then we used somebody from Lebanon, and the attorney from Maine is from Freiburg, and that was for I don't remember who sources. So at this point, ask me some questions. What would you like to do?
So you spent $8,000 in attorney fees already.
Yeah, we paid, I think we paid the 5 to the DRM in Lebanon, and we may still owe 2 or 3 on the one at Freiburg.
And what kind of result have you got from that?
Well, Lebanon told us that, they looked at it and they said it was a question, and the question partly hinged on some rules and laws in Maine. And he wasn't licensed in Maine, so I can go into more detail if you want. If you have time for a quick summary, if I promise to be quick.
But if you're asking us for an opinion, but we don't know the legal opinions that have been handed down so far.
Rendered already.
So we can't render an opinion.
Well, I guess the question before the court, if you will, is do we want to keep working on this? Is it worth pursuing it? What the attorneys told us, so the Dow money is about $350,000 or $400,000 in a trust which resides in Rhode Island. That money is there because Mr. Dow and Mrs. Dow, who were the founders, early owners, PJ Noise Company, left money for the town, the tree fund. But the residual of the estate was left to benefit the St. Andrew's Hospital in Booth Bay Harbor, Maine, except if the St. Andrew's Hospital ceased to operate, the money was to go to Lancaster for the benefit of the needy, and the Emmett Smith Committee was to be used to expand on. It turns out that the hospital closed in 2013, but the money has still been going to some organization. And my feeling is we kind of know where all the bones are buried, and rather than wade into a big legal contest, that the governing body is the probate court, because that's where Mr. Dow's will was. And the reason that its trust is in Rhode Island now, Mr. Dow said, do such and such a bank and down in Concord. The bank went under, got merged, et cetera, et cetera. And so now it's with the trust with a bank in Rhode Island. Every year, since it's a probated will, the trust has to make a report to the probate court. So you can go down there, look in the file, and read all the progress. There is the codicil that says it goes to Lancaster if the hospital goes out. Right at the end, and typically for an older estate, people don't even look at that unless somebody calls them up to say the hospital. Well, did the hospital? The hospital is a small one, smaller than Weeks, in Booth Bay Harbor. Now, the thing about the critical access hospital, the rating goes about that, that means that You know, they have a small intensive care unit and they can take care of people with the ambulance or helicopter. And that's very desirable to own because they get paid a higher percentage on their Medicare, et cetera, reimbursements. Now, it turns out they weren't exactly eligible to be, but the governor of Maine did something and we ended up with that eligibility. So when they were acquired by Lincoln Health, was then acquired by Maine Health. Maine Health and Lincoln Health told everybody in town, we're closing your hospital. And the definition of the hospital, you have to have OBGYN delivery room, have round the clock patient services. They said, we're gonna close the hospital, but we're gonna have a physical therapy thing, a psych thing, you know, a drugstore, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some sort of form, very upsetting to the people of Blue Bay Harbor. It's all in the newspapers there, and the hospital people actually came and told them they were shutting it down. So what they did, and this is disclosed in their Form 990, which is the tax return that a nonprofit has to do. A couple of years after this, they disclosed that they had moved the license from St. Andrew's Hospital, probably because it had that extra reimbursement attached to it, right? They moved it north to Damariscotta, closed the hospital in Damariscotta, reopened it with license from Booth Bay Harbor, and now and the problem, the EMS commented, you know, now we have to drive 35 miles. We used to have a hospital in town. It was quite controversial, and there's a lot of evidence that the hospital is closed. But that would be, I would think, the court would want to know, is it closed or not? So the point I'm trying to make is there's some fuzziness and there's some grounds for them to argue, maybe it's not. But my calculation is just looking in the reports and adding it up, there's maybe $150,000, $160,000 that has been, in my opinion, paid to Booth Bay Harbor St. Andrew's Hospital that should have been coming to the town of some share. And the payments come twice a year, about $12,000, $15,000 about they get here, and then there's always the certification. Now, what happens to the checks sent if court makes that they out, right? And if they don't do that in a timely manner, then the trust company signs an affidavit saying we actually paid it. Well, some of the canceled checks in there, you know, it's endorsed by St. Andrews, paid Lincoln Health, paid the Maine, and things are addressed to where the hospital used to be, but there's nothing there anymore. So it's a confusing sort of thing, which is why it's not just a cut and dry. The second lawyer, from Broad, said his approach would be to write a demand letter. Say, look, we're pretty sure you're closed. What are we going to do about this? Sue it from there. So we have taken no action to notify St. Andrews Hospital, Maine Central, any of those places. And that's where that stands. The attorney in Lebanon pretty much said, I'd be more excited $3.5 million than over 350. If it was up to me, I would write a demand letter to the trust in Rhode Island, and I would copy the probate judge here in town and say, we don't know what to do with this, but we think we're entitled to the money. Rather than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out whether the legal hospital was legally closed and all that stuff. I wouldn't take that. Doesn't want to fish at that bait here, go for a sell. It would be nice if we got reimbursed for some of the money, and it would be nice if the money came our way from now on. So that's $25,000, and that money could be used to supplement Jessica's, you know, the town welfare and support budget. And, you know, we've had some squeezes on that, and it's well used. I think that most of the money, there isn't a bunch left over at the end of the year. I think it's an important thing for the town. So that's that. And then looking at Colonel Town, so the will says pay interest.
Hold on, so you're switching topics?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Please address questions. I'm used to being pressured for me to
Yeah.
go on way.
Stay with one topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like to see stuff from the attorney, actually, where they said this is a possibility. You know, this, I'd like to see those recommendations here as a board, because that's the only way we can really make an informed
Sure,
decision,
I'll be glad. Yes,
is that we need to see that information.
absolutely.
They have their own money they can spend. They're not coming to see if we'll, they got their own.
I was just curious why I couldn't the whole process.
I think they might be thinking it's time for someone else to pitch in.
So
Got it. I was just curious.
that's a good question. We sweated it too. What we did was, we first approached Jessica and asked her if there was room in the budget for the town attorney to look at. And she said, no, not here. But every 6 months, $15,000 goes somewhere. And we thought it would be nice if we could have gotten it arranged. That's what we're working for, getting this sort of settled. So that for the 26 budget, the money would be coming into the town and you'd be able to plan for it. But, and what we talked about was, what is the Emmett Smith? What's our mission? What does the will say? It says take care of things, and that's why we took the rest. But we also limited, just added.
Yeah, so far you've limited it to 75,000.
Seven,
Yes, and I can show you the motions from the minutes, no,
Did you have-
trying to get this recorded.
no, I'm aware, I see the,
what is that?
Different stuff, and what their responses are.
I'm agreeing with that. I'm gonna add to it. I am concerned about our legal budget every year, and it's only April. So to be seriously considering an additional cost. You see with the information that we get, whether or not we could put a cap, if we even consider it, whether we could put a cap or something, but let's see what we get.
And one thing is that, if another year goes by and the money is going not the direction we want, we can still ask as a reimbursement. I thought it would be easier if we just got it all taken care of, but I don't think the horse hasn't left the barn, but we haven't done it yet. So just to repeat, so what you would like is me to make sure that you have copies of the letters from the two attorneys that we consulted.
You'll send those to Jessica, so she has,
Right.
please send them to Jessica, and then
Right.
she'll send it to us. Yep. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You're still standing. Is there something?
yeah.
Oh, we're going on to topic 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Would it be better to, it seems like that was a lot, do you think maybe another probably next meeting to, on the town plan would be good, or?
Well, let me say this. We initiated discussion with the Mark last. At that meeting, I brought it up. And then at the committee, and then at the May meeting, was it the May meeting or the next meeting, we had a vote and we decided we formed a subcommittee and we tasked them, you know, just like you do here, delegated the work to 3 people. And that's, Eric Hanson and myself. Well, he said, I want to pay attention, but I don't want to do it much. So that's what we did with, and big picture is, in the beginning, Colonel Town, the trust under the will of Francis L. Town provides for distribution of the interest from the corpus of this town of Lancaster. This was 1926. Town Lancaster got pretty excited. What should we do about it? So they had a warrant article in 1926. What should we do about spending? The result was Colonel Town spending was formed to be the agents to expend for technical terms. In other words, it was delegated. If you look at the town reports back then, they were doing things like renovating the community house, they bought fields, community camp going, and they basically every year would write a fairly extensive report, and they had a treasurer, and they had their own bank account, et cetera, et cetera. Now, they did have their own bank accounts until 2019 this year. So, Journal Town Spending Fund, you can see it in the audit, it's a non-major governmental fund. And then in 2019 or 2018, for some undocumented reason, that fund was closed. And instead of the money coming to the town, being put in that fund, it now comes to the town. And the town puts it in the general. It used to be that the spending committee had the town sign all the checks and approve all the spending. And Eli and Megan came in on this just as it was informed. It was brand new. All of a sudden, all the payables and everything were going over here. But things would happen like, slow payment, and so your credit cards wouldn't work because they were behind, they were different.
I just want to interject, it's not an undocumented reason. The town auditors actually told the town that these funds need to go through the town, they're town funds. So that is why things changed around. Because the auditor said, this is a problem, the way it's being run.
I have to dispute that because I have checked with Maggie, I've checked with Mr. Green, the auditor, I've checked with Ed Sampson, everybody you can think of who was around at the time, including who was the treasurer? She's I'll think of her name. I asked everybody, I've looked in all the documents. There is concern from the auditors about, too many accounts and how do we keep track? But that's in general, and that's a note to the 2020 audit.
Can we move forward?
The only thing that I can tell you is what was presented to the select board was the auditors did not look how it was being done.
Yeah.
And they wanted the funds to go to the town and go to the town. And I'm not even,
Well, I
I
know,
know what was it,
yeah, I'm not telling you that you're wrong, but I'm telling you that I have researched the select board minutes for those years, and there is nothing like that. Maggie was very kind to look through the documentation and saw a comment by Leo Enos the year after when they were talking about how the thing got closed. But there is no vote, there is no record that I've been able to find. And look, I
Okay,
want
we're
to
not
find
gonna-
something that's correct.
We're not gonna agree on this point. Could you get to your point on what you're trying to tell us tonight about Marco?
My point is that the new structure of the fund
Okay.
allows 3%, 4%, 5% payout calculated on the total balance of the fund on December 31st of the year. So it's not interest anymore, it's a percentage of the balance. And that was petitioned by Doug Shearer and the investment committee to the court, and the court approved it. They elected to do 4% payout, and the law allows 3, 4, or 5%. So our idea was, if we ask for 5%, then that would add another 50,000 or so to pay out to Colonel Town. Currently, the spending committee's percentage of the total budget is only like about 40%. Out of the budget, 500,000, you get 200,000 from the trust. So that would help the taxpayers. Would have to pony up. That was the idea. That we asked if they could change. It's not a complicated thing because conversion to the unit trust has already been done. That legal process is already done. And so the results of the investment returns since 2019 are on, they've been making cumulatively 12, 13, 14% total, if you look at how it's grown. And they've been paying out 4%. So their corpus is getting here. Now, we couldn't get in front of the investment committee for a long time. You were on the Zoom call. Work. Finally, this year they met. This year they met, and they kind of blew us off. They scheduled and they unscheduled. took a vote and they said that they were not in favor of increasing the payout because in 50 years, they would have less money. I can, do they send you minutes of their meetings? You have those?
It's an independent.
Well,
Yeah, and
I'll
I,
send you the minutes. They sent it to
I don't disagree with you. But I also know, as a town resident, we have gone from the spending committee being able to support town recreation 100% to now, as you say, 40%.
Right.
So even though they made good money for several years, there's been years that they haven't.
exactly.
So I'm sitting here, again, I can agree with you, I'd love to get more money from the spending committee. But Board of Selectmen cannot tell the investment committee, give more money.
You cannot, but the spending committee has standing to petition the board because we are the designated and elected agents to expend. We don't want, our idea was we would say, hey, how about just kick it up a little bit? They would do it and there would be nothing to worry about. And we could see no reason why they wouldn't, but
Well, but you got competing ideals, again, devil's advocate. They're looking at long-term solvency of Colonel Town Spending Committee. You're looking at tax relief, which I fully agree with. This competing thing. If you're asking us to support a court action against the investment committee, as an individual, because we have not talked about this as a board, I would tell you no.
we don't want to have a court action either. However, I'm considering, go ahead. May I ask Adam to comment since he's trying to hold?
That's up.
He raised his hand.
That's the.
I created an executive summary that kind of puts out a position. I think at the end of the day, what we've got is the Colonel Town Fund is out earning the 4% payout, right? And I've done some math and projections that even if we go to 5%, it's still going to out earn the 5% if we go to the payout. I'm concerned that with the competing interests, trying to say it in a nice way, right? Like, the investment committee has an interest in growing the amount, right? There's funds under management, there's a percentage they get per funds under management. And I think that to best support the intent of the Colonel Town Fund would be to help spend some of that money. If at 5%, it's still gonna out earn, then there's no real problem. You just check out the executive summary and some of the projections.
What is the ask of this board? What is it you want us to make a decision on?
I came today because this has been going on for almost a year now. We've suggested various things and wondered if there would be any response. I know I sat down with you, Leon, and went through this completely, and I may have gone through it with you guys too a little bit, and nothing has happened. And the reason for doing it now is these things take time, and we would like to shoot for, if it's possible, getting more revenue to come into the budget for the 2027. So that's, I just came with my question. What do you want us to do?
Does this board want the Colonel Town spending another elected board to do? I'm just making sure I understand. I'm not sure we have a lot of say in what other elected boards do, so I look into my comrades there.
I think, again, because we're sitting here, whether we agree or disagree, that's kind of a conflict as one elected board trying to instruct another elected board. I can tell you, back in the early 90s, when I sat here for the first time on Selectboard, I literally asked the investment committee or the spending committee if they talked to the investment committee on income thing. And I was told, oh, absolutely not, we don't talk to each other. It's like, well, how does the spending committee know what they can spend if they're not talking to the investment? So this is a long-term problem. And I appreciate, and I'd love to see more income come so the taxpayers don't have to do it. But we've also, as I said, seen the spending committee go from paying 100% of the cost to 40%. So somewhere we gotta find a balance and make sure that the Colonel Town Spending Committee continues into the future. Also,
I can't agree with you more. If I may shine some light on. From 26, say 1938, Colonel Town Investment Trust yielded enough money for the spending committee to pay for everything plus more. We paid for a bowling alley, we paid for a golf course, all that stuff. And in 38, what happened was all the bonds were refinanced, the interest rate went down, and Colonel Town no longer had enough income to do all those things. So in 37 or 38, the town report, they wrote a letter and they said, we're sorry, we cannot do it all. But we're doing the best we can. And what happened was the Rotary stepped up and picked up a couple of things. You know, various other organizations picked the pieces up. And it's just like now, you know, $220,000 isn't enough to run a program like the nice thing that we have here in town. So that's why the department's budget is much larger than the income. And the voters approve it every year because they feel like this is the facility that we want, right? So that's what happened in the past. Now, the reason that the investment committee and the spending committee don't speak is that the will is very specific. It says the investment committee shall have no input or anything to do with what the town does with the money. So in other words, there's a Chinese wall from the will that prevents that in a way. And so what would happen would be the money would just come, the treasurer of the spending committee would get the report and see what the money was, and then they would have a budget committee and figure out what they're going to do.
and I agree that it says they will not control how it's spent, but there's nothing preventing spending committee going to the investment committee and saying, how do the investments look? What are we gonna get for income?
Well,
That was the frustrating thing, was the spending committee was shooting in the dark, had no idea what the investment committee was. Again, the investment committee should not control how it's spent, but they should be able to give the spending committee, okay, we've got X number of dollars that we can forward you for the program list. That was my point on it.
and you know that problem has now been solved because a unit trust says the payout is a percentage of the average 3 years balance. So on the 1st of January, you know what the balances were for the previous 3 years. You can say, this is the average, 4% is this. Lancaster, you get this much money. Now, one of the things that happens now is they only pay it out in monthly dribbles. And I don't know why that is. So if there's a big capital expense that comes up, it would be nice for you to have the whole money available. There's no legal reason why it has to come every month. Some of us wonder if the bank isn't motivated to retain the money because they earn a percentage on the balance. That would be, that's petty thinking. The point is, we think the taxpayers could use the rear. And it's available.
Again, I'm gonna throw my personal opinion there. I agree with you, but I don't think it's the purview of this board to direct another elected committee or something on what to do. I would encourage you to continue, the spending committee to continue talking with the investment committee and seeing if you can't meet somewhere in the middle, or again, it's competing interests. Spending committee is looking for money to spend. The investment committee is looking for a long-term continuation of funds. So there is competing.
Absolutely. And that's, that's part of what has to go on. There hasn't been, as you know, as much communication from the spending committee one way or the other. Now it's been pretty much receive the money, turn it over to the town, then you send the invoices to the town, and they get paid out of the general fund, partially funded by the revenue that comes in and partially funded by whatever the budget has voted for the year. And I guess if I should rephrase that, I'm not asking, personally, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm sort of asking, what is your feeling about all this? And in the case of the Dow Fund, there will be some legal expenses, and those are appropriately legal expenses of the town, right? The town is a recipient of money. Now, that's because we're working with other parties somewhere else. You know, I think that anytime that various departments in town start suing each other, that turns into a crazy circus, and I don't think anybody should get in on that. We just want to present what we think is the best for the taxpayers and ask it to be done. And so I'll get that. Yeah. Is that clear?
It's clear you're not asking us to take action.
Right, I'm not asking you to go to, because you can't.
I'm trying to get this wrapped up, Terry.
Just real quick, I was at those meetings, at the public meetings, and my sort of the gist that I got from it was that no one's gonna tell anybody, the investment committee, I think, feels like they have the authority to just make any decision they want, and that's it. And it's bad that it's miscommunication, but I don't know, I mean, if they're not talking to each other, then all they're doing is investing money, and there's no say one way or the other if there's a need or not a need. So I don't know where, it just seems like everybody's going this way and nobody's really talking to anyone else, which the town sort of. And because I think it's in a unit trust, I think it makes it a little more complicated. But I don't know if as being the authority in town, whether you have an opinion on it or you say, hey, you know, we're just.
I do notice on this document, first of all, thank you, this is very clear, long executive summary, thank you. You have a strategic next step that you guys have,
We do?
you do.
So I mean, we do.
It's like you have a next step, someone has decided, I don't know if you voted on it or you want to take it, but it certainly is reasonable.
At the end of the day, we just feel in 50 years, if there's 50 million or if there's 30 million, there's enough money in, if there's, it could be dribbling out this whole time and helping the taxpayers every year, rather than the goal be just to, let's see how big we can make the fund, right? I mean, at some point, it seems like, yes, we want the fund to be in perpetuity, right? That can always be giving out some, but also part of the purpose is to support the current town programs. And if we're asking the town to pitch in extra money, and there's extra money in the fund that can help ease that burden on the taxpayers, that's all we're asking, is let's go to 5%, see how it works out.
I think your step number one's a good step.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Is this for us, Adam?
Sure, yeah.
Thanks.
All right, there are no public hearings. We have review of minutes, the April 6th, 2026 work session minutes.
I make a motion to accept.
Not here, so I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Passes.
And next up is the April 6th, 2026 regular meeting minutes.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you. And finally, the April 2026 non-public session minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have signed various paperwork. There's a timber tax warrant for Irene Hutchinson, tax map R11, lot 36. There's also a Coloneltown Community Camp Forestry Management Plan Agreement. This was previously mentioned. This is from Greg Ainsworth, if you would like. Previously, the community camp was a tree farm looking to understand forestry management plan for that facility.
Hey, Terry, we can hear you. Could you take it outside or?
I'm sorry.
Second.
And he is looking to complete the survey as soon as it dries out. Next up, new business number 1, Highland Village townhouses. Just to bring you up to speed, that I did reach out for some guidance on how to handle that property. I know that as it comes up for deeding, we've been kind of kicking it down the road. So I'd like to get a bit more clarification that I'll be putting it in front of you very soon. No action tonight. No other business? Any old business? Nothing this evening. Next up, select board member reports.
I have nothing tonight.
Shane?
I'd like to follow up on this agreement.
Yes.
We good?
Yes.
How many acres does the current town have?
I believe it's 70-ish. Yeah.
Can you can? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
69.
it was 60, because we looked at that, whether that was part of the town forest or whatever, it's not my recollection, 60 acres.
The previous plan was dated 2015.
I just didn't say how many acres.
I've got a couple things, just a reminder, May's around the corner, we're gonna do no mow May again. Like the support, I know. The support of having it in Soldiers Park, and allowing for mowing right before the, break. So, there are no mow May signs available to Lancaster residents, they'll be here at the town office. I'm just gonna get something set up on website about it. Also, I just want to be real quick about the work session, want to make sure the planning document that included, Tim Billadew and Tim Brown's projects for the summer, that we can review that at the next meeting. And then also that monthly, I'll call them monthly cadence. The tickler, Shane, I call it the tickler, I call it the cadence, so that we make sure we stay on track, but that's the work session, plus whatever else you have. Okay.
Next up is the town manager report. We held an Earth Day cleanup on Saturday with our friends from the chamber, and we had roughly 20 to 30 folks swing by, which was great. A lot of people took their bags to the transfer station, which is also very thankful for those people. We have blue bags available if residents choose to continue this effort. We welcome it, and they can pick it up at the town hall or the transfer station at any time. We received training for an emergency alert system, and we'll be messaging enrollment out to the public soon via our website and social media. I attended a regional safety stakeholder meeting with the DOT on April 7th. The intent of the meeting was to assist with updating New Hampshire's strategic highway safety plan. So it's good to see our colleagues from North Country Council and other communities at that. I attended an Eversource meeting in Carroll regarding their upcoming and continuing projects in Bethlehem, Stratford, and Pittsburgh. So they kind of gave us an overview of capacities and things to look for as we move forward. I spoke with Tricia Burnett regarding some trees. Lancaster Beautification brought arborvitae trees, which you'll see in the municipal parking lot to help screen the water department. We'll be looking into smaller trees to be planted closer to the interior of Soldiers Park so they can mature over time. We are also looking to see if we can purchase a larger tree to dedicate during the July 4th festivities. And I also updated the website with the July 4th schedule. I had a suggestion from lovely Linda Hutchins to hold maybe an informational session to solicit some support for the July 4th festivities. So I'll be considering that soon, likely on a Thursday, maybe at the library or something, but get out the word. Heard from the pickleball group over at Coloneltown. They have fundraised to resurface courts. So we will probably be holding a public hearing in May to listen in more about their efforts regarding that. There is a geological survey. So some geologists stopped by the office. They are mapping the bedrock throughout Lancaster. So they've been appreciative of all the efforts we've had to communicate this. They may show up at residents' doors to just ask if they can enter their property, and we've had quite a few residents know about this effort because we continue to mention it. So you can let people know, it'd be great. There is a Lancaster Housing Authority meeting on April 30th at 9 a.m. For the past couple of weeks, I've had 3 welfare applicants with 2 awards for $2,046. And there's a routine budget committee quarterly meeting tomorrow at 5:50. In your packet this evening, you'll have information for the zoning board meeting notice for April 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. You'll have a notice of final tax date, land use permits for 105 Portland Street, for 281 Summer Street, for 15 Terry Abbott Lane, and also for 65 Stebbins-Hill Road. That's it for this evening. Next up, public comments.
Do we have any public comments? Okay. Do we have any aside Rob? I'll get to Rob. Please, someone else.
Did I miss this? Because I could have been mentally sleeping. New business for Highland Village.
We're not taking action this evening.
Did you say that?
What do you
Yes,
want?
yes, she did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I was here.
Bummer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Well, first of all, I want to thank Rob for all his digging research. It's just amazing what he comes up with. And if we get $75,000, well done. But it doesn't seem to me that the Coloneltown issue is that complicated. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see them as in competition. I see them as collaborative. And it seems to me that the investors and the Coloneltown are talking to each other. It seems to should be. And it's just a percentage. If the investor goes up or down, it's still the same percentage. And the investment, committee should be working to in perpetuity, but also so that they can provide maybe that percentage. So it just seems like pretty straightforward. Anyway, I was meant to suggest, I don't know if you do this when you're under explaining stage, but the majority of the trash, is aluminum cans. And I don't know if any effort made to separate them, which is really, there's
Some residents at the Earth Day cleanup on Saturday expressed their desire to separate out cans and bottles. So they have been taking that self-driven effort, which is great. So once they bring those down to the transfer station, they can then appropriately recycle them on the end.
well, I was thinking aluminum is one of the few things that we actually can recycle indefinitely, and there's a lot of them there. So it just makes me crazy to see it, and that's what I figured, just leave the rest of it. But if there is a publicized pickup day, it seems to me it'd be pretty easy to have teams of 2 people and one picking up aluminum and the other picking up the rest of the stuff. And then the aluminum for all doing the aluminum bins and I guess we do get paid for it, right? The aluminum, yeah. So just a suggestion.
Thanks, Lucy. Rob,
Parenthetically, Rusty tells me that when you put all that metal in the bin, it goes somewhere and it gets sorted, so there is some way to extract the value out of it.
The metal, everything together. I'm talking about separating aluminum from all the other trash.
Yes, and things that are thrown in there have a lot of plastic and iron, and so there's some sort of way that it's sorted.
Should be a minute.
what's in your cup?
Yeah.
I want to thank Terry, Adam, and members of the spending committee and the people who put the effort into showing that. But as I grow older, my ability to summarize gets less and less, and I appreciate their putting that effort into here. And again, this is, all we're trying to do here is bring, I think the budget goes really great. It's hard work, it's controversial, but we do a good job with it. But the budget, the tax effort is only about 40% of our whole budget. So I'm trying to look at, and other people are, where else can we maximize stuff without beating on the budget committee? So that's part of why bothering to look at the Dow thing and bothering to look, and they're small, but a few potatoes together, and next thing you know, you got French fries, right? That's my thought.
I'm just wondering if the investment committee is lifetime committee members, or are they appointed, do they have a term? Do they not have a term?
Outlined.
Are they just,
It's, I think
someone
it's something
dies?
that's outlined in the will.
Is that? So the will is the authority to
Yes.
talk,
It is.
okay. Does anybody know? Just,
I'm gonna guess with Rob's hand up, he's. Hey, Terry.
Yeah, but they are elected, but only when there's a vacancy. That's the answer.
The investment committee?
Yes, correct. So there was an election, 7 or 8 years ago, and 3 people were elected. Julie and a couple, because people had retired. Other than that, there's no term. And you'll see the same people have been there for 10 or 15 years. Well,
thank you.
Anything else for tonight? Do we have a motion to?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, it's rule.
What's the color?
Jensen.
You know?
Well,